Okay, so we're going to talk about how to set up an 8-page booklet that will print on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper on both sides. So you're able to kind of build a little booklet out of this. So what you want to make sure you do is you make sure you open up InDesign, and we're going to start with like a fresh file here. So I'm just going to go in, and once you get it opened up, you're going to want to go up here and go to File, New, Document. So we're going to make a new document, and InDesign just basically organizes everything around how many pages you have, and then you can set up these sort of parameters here that'll help you orient things the way that you sort of want to, right? So what I'm going to want to do is, instead of having it be a letter size, I want to think through, if I'm going to print a booklet on 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, that means that 2 pages are going to need to fit on each 8.5 by 11 size piece of paper. So I'm actually going to want my individual page sizes to be half of an 8.5 by 11, plus a little extra for a margin so that you kind of can trim it and everything. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go in here, and where it says number of pages, we're going to want to put 8. Right? You want to have facing pages. You want to start with page number 1. We're going to have, instead of having our page size be letter though, we're going to go in here and we're going to type in 5 inches. And you have to type the inches in because that's how InDesign translates it into points. And then you can see it translates it into 30 points. So you can actually just put 30 here, and it will change that into 30 for you. So, and then beyond that, the other things that we're going to want to play around with we're going to want to play around with our bleed and our slug. So if we go in here to the bleed and the slug, the bleed is just, it allows us to print it out past the edges of where the page is going to be cut down to make our booklet. So we want to be able to bleed images off without like a weird white border or something like that. So in here you want to go ahead and type in a bleed of, just go 0.125 inches. And you can see when you do that, it's going to change all the rest of these bleeds for you, so that you'll see when we open up the page it's going to do that. You can change around the columns if you want to. You can also change your margins if you want to do that. I usually crank mine down pretty low to like 1 or something like that. So there you go. So that's the basics of how we want this set up. And then once you get it all set, you can just click OK. And you'll see that when you bring this up, it's going to bring up a kind of a blank, empty document, right? And so this is our margin. This is the margin that I set, and it just kind of tells me where the edges are. And then you can see that the bleed, this sort of orange line around the edge here, that goes around, and that's the bleed. So that means I can set images out to this edge, and it'll print them. And then when we go to cut, we're going to set it to cut right on the edges of this, and it'll means that we'll get a really nice, clear, clean bleed off the edge of the page without a weird white border. So you want to make sure you set up your image that way. And if you click over here on the Pages palette, and if you ever can't find a palette, like you're lost, you don't know where something is, remember you can always go in here and go to Window and just go to Pages. So I can't find it, it's gone somehow. You can just go Window and then just click on Pages, and it'll bring it back for you. So, and most of these palettes are going to live over here. And if we do that, you can see, okay, oh, I have I have 8 pages, right? Which is just what we said we wanted, and they're kind of facing each other. So this first page is going to be the front cover, right? The last page is going to be the back cover, and then these are going to be the spreads that I see in between as I'm flipping through the booklet. So once you get that sort of set up, and once you kind of get the gist of how this is all ready to roll, and you're kind of good to go, then we can move into actually setting up master pages and things like that, which I'll show you here in the next tutorial. Always remember, if you're stuck, like if you get zoomed in and you can't figure out where in the world you are, you're on all gray, just double click this hand icon, and that'll bring you back and kind of put everything on the screen for you. And just again, negotiating through this is just double clicking the pages is the easiest and fastest way to do it. So I will now, the next tutorial, we'll talk about master pages and get that sort of thing all set up as well.